All right, we'll get started now. And this presentation is entitled Closing the Sale. And I hope from this you'll have a little bit more ease in how to actually ask people for a decision. So first thing, I got this, and it's it, what convinced me that we needed to close the sale was this little comment. If you almost sell them and they almost pay, I could almost write you a check, a note from the bookkeeper. And that's the way it is, people. If you don't get the order, it doesn't happen. Now, here's a fact. Ask and you get, don't and you won't. All right. It even says in Luke, in the Bible, in Luke 11:19, it says, and I say unto you, ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. It even says in the Bible that you need to ask if you're going to get. Now, I've been getting things all my life that other people don't get because I ask. Some people just assume, well, I don't ask, or they're afraid to ask, or whatever. But ask and you get, don't and you won't. And when you're in a business like ours, if you don't ask, well, shucks, you're just a professional visitor. Proverbs 14:23 says that all hard work brings prosperity, but mere talk leads to poverty. And when you don't ask for an order and ask for a decision from a person, in our business is not so much asking for an order so much as it is asking for a decision. Really, it's just mere talk. Things aren't going to happen from there. Now, I think the reason most people don't ask for an order is they fear rejection. And you fear rejection. You won't fear the rejection if you learn not to take a no personal. Proverbs 20:14, bad, says the buyer, but when he leaves, he boasts. That's what it says in the Bible. King Solomon, smartest man who ever lived, said, hey, in another wording they used, it's not, or it's no good, says the buyer, but when he leaves, he brags about the great deal he got. And so don't take it personal. And, let's face it, a client or a customer or a prospect is paid to say no. We have to learn to say no to stuff, or we'd buy everything, we'd all go broke. So we have to filter it out. And sometimes, usually those no's are just the first filter. I mean, they're going to put objections, they're going to do different things that are going to say, and if you just take it personal, feel like they're rejecting you, then it's going to be hard to do this. And if it weren't for these no's that come up, there wouldn't be any position for us, wouldn't be any place, because every business out there would just send out catalogs and everybody call in an order, and it would automatically happen. But sales is the highest paid profession in the world. And a lot of that's because people are so afraid of rejection that they won't ask. And if you're the person who will learn to ask, it's going to change. Now, let me say a little bit more about this not taking a no personal. And that is, I've never seen anybody die yet from hearing the word no. As a matter of fact, if I tell you, I could say no, 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 and we could go back and look at the screen, and I'll bet you there'd be nobody falling over dead beside their computer. Because no, hearing the word no just doesn't kill you. It doesn't kill people. Nobody's ever died, I don't believe, from hearing no. And so it's just not a problem, but we think it is. We take it personally. And that's really pretty hypocritical because, like, for instance, don't you get frustrated when you call somebody they don't answer the phone? We all have that problem, right? We call them, they don't answer the phone. You call them, well, gee, I just called this person. They said I could call them back. They didn't answer the phone. How many times have you done that? Don't you do that all the time yourself? I mean, you see the phone, the caller ID tells you who it is. They say, I don't want to talk to them right now, or I'm not ready to do it, or whatever's going on. They just don't take it because they know. Now, people before caller ID, we didn't do that. Why? Because the phone rang. We wanted to know who it was. Now we know who it is. And now we may or may not want to talk to them at the time. And that's just the way it is. That's the way caller ID. We do the same thing. How many times have you gone into a store and the person at the store somebody says, hey, can I help you? Can I help you find something? You say, no, I'm just looking. Well, you're not just looking. You went in there to find something. You went up there after something. but you don't want to talk to them right now. I mean, you did the same thing. You do the same thing all the time. We all do. That's just part of the whole sales process. That's how buyers, buy. Bad says the buyer, but when he leaves, he boasts. No, I'm busy. No, I'm just looking. You're not just looking. You're out there to get something. People on the people in our business are doing the same thing. Hey, they're just looking, but they're really wanting to slowly make the decision. Some people are right there. I know exactly what it was. Yep. Will you take me to this? And other people, their timing's just not there. So that's part of the technology problem today is the caller ID and the fact that, people, will just ignore your calls. The positive part about this, and I love this part of it, is we've got so many ways to access and contact people. I mean, all the time I'm sending people texts, I'm sending them messenger from Facebook, I'm sending them emails, I'm texting them pictures or anything about this business, about things. And I'm almost happy now when I get a voicemail because then I know this won't take long. I'll just leave a message, say, hey, I got an email coming to you talking about such and such. And you're done. And then you send the email. The process takes longer. The sales process takes longer in this technical age, but it's really easier because you don't have to talk to so many people. Now, I do like to talk to people. I'm a social person. Probably most of you are too. I do like to talk to people, but in the sales process, this is not a business that you really persuade people or talk them into it. You just need to keep yourself out in front of them long enough until they say yes. You have to be persistent. I like this this little comment from the guy. He says, "Man, is that salesman persistent? He's hanging on the outside of the window." All right, and it takes persistence. Most sales don't come until after the fifth call. Now, I pull out these scriptures because I love to present things and use scripture to help you understand it. Galatians 6:19, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we will reap if we faint not, if you don't give up. 80% of all sales are made after the fifth call. And I'll tell you what, that's changing in this industry because you got to make a lot more than that. But the thing is, making more contacts, and you can do it through the tools that are available. My biggest goal is not to push things to the place to where I get a no. And if I do get a no, I normally ignore it anyway. If I get a no, I say, oh, okay, I understand. I feel the same way. But you know what? Here's what I found out. And I don't, like if somebody says, no, I don't want to do it, I say, hey, I understand nothing's for everybody. This might not be for you. But let me ask you, is it okay if I go ahead and send you emails just to kind of keep you update on what we're doing? You never know, something later may get your interest. And they'll 99.9% of the time tell me yes. And I also say, and if it's okay, I'm going to add you to our Facebook group that called Improve, that talks about where you'll learn the kind of results people are having on products. So when somebody tells me no, I like that because somebody who can say no can say yes. But when somebody's saying maybe, it really means no, because really maybe usually means they're just putting you off. They're not making a decision. So if they tell you no right off, no, I don't want to do this, great, that's fine. Let me keep you informed on what's going on. I'll just send you emails and maybe drop a call once in a while, I'll let you know, because I'm sure you're wondering how this is going to be working for me. And they'll always say yes. And then you keep dripping on them. Last week, I signed up one person that I'd been talking to since last October about M. I signed up one who I'd been talking to for over a month and one for over a few days. I mean, different people have different gestation periods, I mean, it takes a rabbit, about 28 days to develop, and it takes an elephant 2 years to develop an offspring. So it just takes us a little longer with some people, and some people are quicker. So, but no means maybe means no. So if they tell you no, hey, that's good. Maybe because, maybe they're going to buy later because they can make a decision. If they tell you maybe, that means no. Well, that's good too, because no means maybe, right? And let me tell you, there's the no hurry, what I call the no hurry stall. And I think this is, you need to know people pretty well, and you need to be careful how you say this. But when I get somebody says, well, I'll think about it. oh, let me think about it. I don't want to do anything right now. And I says, they say, or they'll say, I think I'll just wait. And I said, hey, that's fine. I don't blame you. And let me tell you, this company's going to be around for a long time. There's no problem if you wait. If you want to wait, nothing's going to happen. And if you want nothing to happen in your life, wait. And when you say that to people, it kind of helps them understand, hey, I really wanted, I was interested. I looked at this in the first place because I wanted to change in my life. And if they don't, then that kind of brings it clear to them. Now, here's something I really want you to understand. And I've seen so many salespeople and so many business people, and so many times in networking, people lose the sale because after they say yes, they keep on talking. You've got to learn to recognize the buying signals. When somebody says yes, stop selling and start taking your order. They say, okay, yeah, I guess I will. Don't keep telling them stuff. I've seen people talk people out of the business after they've already said yes. I've done a lot of three-ways throughout my career in networking, and a lot of times people would leave you on the phone after you did the three-way. Like I would do a three-way as the upline, and I would get it to the place to say, okay, Tom's going to go ahead and get you signed up. I've had this happen many times. And then I say goodbye, and the person won't click me off. And so I'll sit there and I'll listen to them. And how many times I've heard somebody talk the person out of it. They just kept talking, just kept telling them good stuff about the company and keep on to the place that finally the person, they never got the order because the person decided, this is just way too difficult. They'd already said yes, they didn't take the order, and it happened. I mean, buying signals are things like, yeah, I'd like that, or okay, or when would I get started? Or how long does it take the products? We can have the products to you Thursday. What credit card would you like? I mean, it's that simple. They say, how long would it take the products? The product, it usually takes 3 to 5 days. Which credit card would you like to use? Boom. Now, it used to be, I always tell people, learn from your children on how to take the order. If your kid asks you for something, you'll say no, 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 and you think the kid's deaf, right? They say no, and you could tell them 100 times, no, 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 and you think they're deaf. And every time, what do? They come back and ask you a different way, right? And you say no again. I told you before, but they're asking you for the same thing in a different way. So you need to notice from your children. And now you can say no 100 times and they won't hear it, but you could whisper yes from a block away and they would hear it. Matter of fact, you can just even suggest you're saying yes, and it's, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad. I mean, they're taking off. They got the order. They're running out the door. But we, in our business, somebody says yes to us, and we keep selling and pitching on the company till they decide this is too much trouble and they want to quit. Remember, as soon as they say yes, shut up and start taking the order. Okay, here's the other thing. Expect to succeed. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and the future. If you don't, you seem to get what you expect, people, receive what they expect. And if you don't expect to really succeed, people are going to feel that. So you got to get in your head, hey, this is good. I love it. I like it. Other people like it. Let's do it. I mean, pretty much everybody on this Zoom today could learn how to fly a 747. It's just a different experience. If you had started when you were a kid, if you had started working on it and learning how to fly when you were younger and started flying, small airplanes and then larger airplanes, you could learn how to fly a 747 jumbo jet. Most of us could. I mean, some people maybe, out of fear or whatever, or coordination, or maybe they couldn't, but most people could. Most of us can. In a movie, there's a movie out there called The Edge with Anthony Hopkins, and they were fighting a bear, and he read a book about how somebody killed a bear out in the wilderness, and Anthony Hopkins said, what one man can do, another man can do. What one man can do, another man can do. And pretty much that's the way it is. You can do it, and you need to see yourself succeeding and start telling yourself before you make a call, before you talk to somebody, you say, this is going to work. This is good for them. They're going to like it. Self-talk. Tell yourself that. I like this. about uh, enthusiasm. Loyalty and enthusiasm are the two things I value most in an employee. You're hired. The guy hiring his pet, and enthusiasm sells. Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Do it heartily. Work heartedly. Show enthusiasm. Let people know, hey, you're happy about what you're doing. The other thing is, if you're going to get an order and you're going to ask people questions, don't be threatened or threatening. And Matthew 10:16, behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be shrewd as a serpent and innocent as doves. Don't be threatened or threatening. You can say anything to anybody if you'll say it in the right way. You need to learn to ask people matter-of-factly. So would you like to get started? Don't stop and think about it and think, oh, you're not asking them, to give you their left leg. You're not seeking a kidney transplant. You're not going to die if they say yes. If they say no, it's not going to kill them. If they say yes, it's going to be good for everybody. So do it matter-of-factly. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just, would you like to get started? The assumptive close is what I've found to be the easiest and the one that works the best and the one that's good for everybody. Don't make them say yes, just read them the terms and hand them a pen to sign. And when you're doing paperwork nowadays, people we don't sign so much anymore. We just, it's handing people your credit card today. Here's a phrase I like to use. Does that sound good? While reaching out to shake their hand to show that you want to do it. When you're meeting with somebody and they say, hey, what do you think? Can we be partners? And you reach out your hand. Let's partner in this thing and do it, and shake their hand. Does that sound good? When would you like to start getting your products? We probably should look at it shall we meet on Tuesday? When you're trying to get an appointment, saying things like, hey, we probably ought to look at this. I think it's worth it. Can we get together on Tuesday? Can I call you on Tuesday? We probably ought to check this out. And when you put a we instead of a you, when you're saying you do it, you're telling somebody to do something. Nobody likes to be told anything. But if you say, we probably ought to do this, can we meet on Tuesday? Can I call you on Tuesday? You're including them on setting an appointment or even getting started. Or you could say, hey, we probably ought to do this. Even though they're the ones signing up, you're already in, it'll work. We could deliver it on Monday. Is that okay? With our business, we're saying it takes 3 to 5 days. Is that okay? Now, if you're talking to somebody locally, I tell you what I do is I keep one of everything on hand all the time. And that way, when somebody wants to do it, if I'm meeting them personally, I can hand them the products, and then they pay me for those products. And they don't actually pay me when their products come in. They give me the same ones back. People really, it's a lot easier for people to make a decision when they're getting something right then. So when they're local, that really helps. If you're talking to somebody right there with you, if you can hand them the product right then, and then when their product comes in, you pick it up from them, or you can even hand it to them and have the product. If you go in the back office, you can have the product shipped to you on that first order. And that'll work, and that really works well. And just by saying they usually deliver in 3 to 5 days, is that okay? We could get started on Tuesday. I could start on Tuesday. If you were looking for a job, that'd be a good way to look at somebody and say, hey, I could start on Tuesday. Is that okay with you? Remember, we do this one bite at a time. Don't ask for the big questions. It's like when you're taking the information to sign somebody up, don't ask them for their credit card or their social security number the first thing you ask them. You always start off, okay, am I getting your name spelled right? What's your address? People aren't concerned to tell their address. Then the next thing is, then you say, which phone number do you want to use? And then you get to the other more personal stuff where you get to, and I always make the credit card the last part. And when I ask for their social, the way to do that, and a lot of people can sign up online. If they get nervous, say, hey, you can sign up online. But when I've taken the information, I take the information from a lot of people, and I'll just say, we need your social security number because M's going to pay you. And if you want to get paid, you got to have a social security number. And whenever I say that, it doesn't bother people. If I just say, give me your social security number, I'll get some resistance. But if I just say, if I say we need your social security number so M can pay you, then everybody understands. And then you get the date of birth. And if it's somebody who has a problem giving you the date of birth, and the reason you have to get the date of birth is they got to just prove that they're over 18, because you got to be 18 and above to get in the business. And so if they show any resistance, just say, hey, it doesn't matter, make up a number. We'll make you up to be 19 if you want. It doesn't matter if they have any concern about it. I realize some of you guys are really nervous about giving your age. Okay, the 3 words that have always worked best in closing is let's do it. Those 3 words, let's do it. Just looking at somebody, let's do it. And put a grin on your face. And again, let me say, you can say anything you want to anybody you want if you'll do it in the right way. If you aren't threatened or threatening, you're not coming across harsh and you're not coming across timid, and just say it matter-of-factly. Learn to ask for the decision matter-of-factly. I mean, really, this is not rocket science. They are not donating a kidney. It's not that big a deal. Okay, now I want to show you a clip from the movie Lonesome Dove. You've probably seen Lonesome Dove. This clip is a great clip on the assumptive sale. I want you to watch this, okay?
Now, you take all the time you need to think it over, but that's my price.
Well, it's an awful stiff price. But they are good horses.
What'd you get, July?
Well, I think there's a letter here for you and your mama.
Sure will. Take the captain over to the North Range. Show him our 3-year-old.
Si, senor.
Mama!
Did you see that? That's the assumptive close. What a great close, all right? Now, the thing to remember is when they ask a question like that, when they bring up an objection, the first one to talk loses. You don't have to answer every objection that comes up. And sometimes it's they're just trying to stall the decision. Look at how this happened, okay? I want you to look at that part of it.
Well, it's an awful stiff price. But they are good horses.
Reaches out her
Get,
hand.
July?
Sure will. Take the captain over to the North Range. Show him our 3-year-old.
Si, senor.
Did you see that? Wasn't that now I realize that was just a movie, but that's the way it happens in real life. I've done this for years, and I've used that time after time again. They offer an objection. The first one that talks loses. I mean, some of them you have to answer, but don't be quick to answer. And things like, is there any other reason you wouldn't want to do this? Are things that make a difference. Now, you notice not only did she do that, but she even did the upsell on this. Did you see the upsell? You know how the upsell is when you're at the theater and they say, "Can we make that a large?" And at the fast food places, they'll say to you, "Can we add fries to that?" That's what's called an upsell.
Sure will. Take the captain over to the North Range. Show him our 3-year-old.
Si, senor.
Mama!
He said they were too expensive. She ignored it and just reached out her hand to get the order. Okay, it was that simple. And she didn't make him say yes. He said on that, he says, but they are good horses. She recognized the buying signal, just reached out her hand to take the order. Now today, that might be getting their credit card, because today, it doesn't always work to get a handshake. People are used to giving a credit card or anything or something like that to actually make a difference.
Wazowski.
Now, if you can't collect, wait a minute, I want you to see this. It's rarely closed until the deal, just like back then it was a handshake. Well, today it takes, you need to get them to give you the credit card or whatever to get it signed up. You got to follow through, because it's rarely closed until it's actually signed.
Wazowski, you didn't file your paperwork last night.
Oh, that darn paperwork. Wouldn't it be easier if it all just blew away?
Don't let it happen again.
Yes, well, I'll try to be less careless.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Whew, she's nuts.
Until you get the paperwork. I saw that in that cartoon. I love that. You got to get the paperwork. You got to get it signed. You got to get the deal sealed. And we don't need contracts. I mean, sometimes when we're signing up people one-on-one, we'll have a sheet. I'll be out with my niece Ann, and she always carries that sign-up order form and has it right there to hand it to them, let them fill out and sign. Over the telephone, you got to get their information and then put them into the computer. But till that's happening, the sale is not there. You're going to have to follow through and get it closed, and that's just part of it. Here's the thing too, if you can't collect, it's not sold. So you want to, people need to understand that they need to pay you, and don't, where it says in Proverbs, don't agree to guarantee another person's debt or put security up for someone else. If you can't pay it, even your bed will be snatched from under you. I never, don't pay for other people's way to get in. If they don't want in bad enough that they'll come up with the money, they're not going to work it. They're just going to resent you for it. As a matter of fact, they're going to feel pushed into it, and very likely they won't even pay you. I mean, it happens all the time. So if they're not ready to get in, if they're not willing to put out their own money, don't put it out for them. Don't ask for the money until after the sale, because then they expect it. I don't ever ask for the credit card number till they said yes, and then I start, okay, as I said, I start with the other stuff, and then I get to the credit card. Now this is something I'd use in another business so much more, but I say keep them current or lose them as a customer. And for us, how that would relate to our business is just being sure that they get the blue box. Be sure when people sign up you tell people when they're signing up to be sure and put in your blue box order, because that's how you get paid every month. It's to have those products coming to you on a regular basis. And I always loved this. Zig Ziglar was one of my heroes, and he made this statement: timid salespeople have skinny kids. And people, you need to learn to ask for the order. And that's just part of it. And in our business, it's really asking for the decision. Can you imagine what it would be like if you went to Walmart and it was really hard to find where to check out? You got all this stuff in your cart and you couldn't find any place to check out. You're not a thief, so you can't walk out the door with it, but they make it hard for you to pay. I mean, one of the reasons we hate Walmart is because the line's so long, right? And we try to find other places to go because we hate standing in the line all that time and see somebody ahead of you with, 3,000 things in their cart, and it bugs you. And so you end up going to Target where it costs a little bit more, but there's less competition. So, make it easy for people. Be quick to take their order. And I want you to understand this, is you're afraid you're going to be pushy when you're asking for an order. You're afraid you're going to be pushy, but you know what? If you don't ask for the order, you know what they think? They don't think, oh, what a nice guy. He didn't even ask me for the order. They say, they're a nice person, and, that sounded like pretty good stuff, but, they didn't even ask me for the decision. I don't know that I'd want to be in business with them, because then they think you're weak. If you don't ask for the decision, you will appear weak to people. Which would you rather think, that you're pushy or weak? Well, you don't want them to think either one, right? You don't want them to feel like you're pushy, but you don't want them to think you're weak. So just ask them in a matter-of-fact way. And if they say no, I understand. I felt the same way. It takes a lot to decide on this. Let me keep information coming. Or you simply ask them, well, what about it concerns you? And maybe they'll give you an answer. And even if not, if you'll keep them on your list, these products are so good, people tend to come back with it. And one thing that's really worked for me is, I ask them, do you like the products? Everybody likes the products. Yeah, I like the products. Well, if you just come in and take a position, eventually we'll get your products paid for just by being in the matrix, because you get paid for it down 4 levels down, even if you never recruit a soul. So how'd you like to be getting your products for free? Now, it won't happen overnight. It may take months for that to happen. But if you like the products and you'd use them anyway, Why not get them? All right. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording.